They, they're asking here a couple like questions about even and odd, and let's just remind ourselves of a couple interesting factoids you should know about even and odd. If you have an odd and you add it to an odd, like 1 plus 3, for example, you're going to get an even. But if you have an odd and you multiply it by an odd, you're of course going to get an odd. If you have an even and you add it to an even, you're going to get an even. If you have an even and you multiply it by an even, you're going to get an even. How about when you add two together, even plus an odd, you're going to get an odd. Even times an odd, you're going to get an even. Now you can play around with that if you don't believe me, but it's, kind of background stuff that you should have picked up along the road somewhere. So in this case, we've been told A and B are both odd. Well, what happens when you add 1 to A? That would make this an even. And B, you're already been told it's an odd. An even times an odd, well, like I just said, that's an even. So this is not going to end up becoming an odd. So I will say not number 1. Once more, A plus 1 is going to be an even. We're adding it to B, which is odd. You look over here, and it's sure enough going to be an odd. And so that's one that will work. If you subtract an even, that's the same thing as adding a negative even, so it's still an, odd in this case. So this is going to be an even, and you are adding it to, or subtracting, it doesn't really matter, adding it to an odd. Well, if you take an even and you add an odd, that's an odd. And so that's another one that will definitely work. And so the answer that I want is 2 and 3 only, and so the answer I want is E.